I don't think that it would be useful to talk about the whole history of the Qumran community, since people have been throwing that back and forth from the beginning of this group's existence, and you guys have probably read some books or other on that subject. You may have read my books, or you may have read Michael Bajan's book, or you may have read Jim Tabor's coming book, or whatever. So I thought, out of this document, since Jim and I were arguing or discussing the other night, this Damascus document, it might be useful to go through an interpretation of it here. You may or may not know, and again, since everyone comes at this stuff from a different background, some people know a lot about this, some people don't know anything about this. It's just almost impossible to talk about these things with a mixed group of this kind and without boring a quarter or half or a part of the people. In any case, for you who don't know about this document was originally found in Cairo in 1896 or 7 in a place known as the Geniza, which is a place that is known to deposit old manuscripts, and particularly prayer books and different things of that kind. You may or may not realize that the Jews felt you were not allowed to destroy a manuscript with the name of God on it, so it had to be either deposited or buried or something of that kind. Some people think the Geniza is a secret hideaway, but I don't think it's really secret. It's just a repository where old things were put. And this Geniza in Cairo was behind a wall in a synagogue in old Cairo. It was broken through around the time the British got control of that area, the later part of the 19th century. And in there were a huge trove of manuscripts from the Middle Ages. The manuscripts haven't even been edited yet. Our friend who's known in this field, Norman Gold, has been working on these manuscripts for quite a while. He claims he worked on them because he couldn't do Qumran scroll studies, but I have a feeling he just likes them. So I don't even think that it's because he can't do Qumran scroll studies. But a lot of us really couldn't do Qumran scroll studies as far as the new manuscripts, but there was plenty to do from the old manuscripts. So that really wasn't a serious problem, I don't think. In any fact, there are, for you who don't know the Geniza, I speak for the young ladies and others who may not know these things, there's a tremendous repository of manuscripts from the Middle Ages, correspondence from Jewish communities all over the Mediterranean, as far afield as India and other places. So it's a treasure trove of sociology for Jewish life in the Middle Ages, and many people have used it like that, and it's still, as I said, has not been fully published. But among the finds there were these manuscripts that seem to go back to very old times that we'd never seen before, and the most important of these were the Damascus fragments. And everyone recognized at the time that these were revolutionary documents and something quite incredible that we'd never seen. And I think people understood even in as early as the early 1900s that these were, in quotes, Jewish Christian documents of some kind. That depends what you mean by Jewish Christian, but I think they saw elements of a familiar kind of material that Christianity had also somehow been involved in. So early commentators did see Jewish Christian aspects to it, and others, of course, may not have. This Jewish Christian thread in the Damascus document was lost as interest diminished in it over the first half of this century, and people began to forget about this document. However, with the first finds in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it was announced that there were fragments, particularly after Cave 4 was found, of the Damascus document in the Cave 4 materials. And so people began to treat the Cairo Damascus document, found in 1896, as part of the Qumran materials. What you have in these books, like this old one of Vermin, and your newer one there, what you have in these, this Vermesh book, what you have in Vermesh's translation is one of the only English ones. There's another one in Gaster, which Gaster takes great liberties with the text. Vermesh also takes liberties with the text, but his liberties are rather of a vocabulary kind. In other words, he steers clear of using familiar expressions. If he can say deeds or acts, he'll not say works. If he can say Spirit of holiness, he won't say Holy Spirit. He wants to, whether consciously or otherwise, put you away from the very real connections with early Christianity that you have here. And maybe it's in his mental framework himself. He doesn't see those connections, so he tends to translate words so that you miss some of the signification when looking at it within the framework of Christian vocabulary. That's my main argument. Plus, he sometimes makes ludicrous translations, which even an amateur like myself can see are ludicrous. And I don't claim to be a philologist. One of the tremendous blunders he makes is in the Habakkuk commentary. What's called the Habakkuk Pesher, what I wrote that book upon. He translates a very important phrase, body of his flesh. They inflicted the pollutions or the diseases, as he calls it, but they couldn't have inflicted diseases on him because they don't inflict diseases. But anyway, they inflicted some sort of polluting ignominy on the body of his flesh, meaning the wicked priest's flesh. This is in the Habakkuk commentary, also in these collections here. And when you look at it over and over again, you realize that the body of flesh is just